So why sacred sexuality? Why we want to understand or we want to know sacred sexuality? We all have this urge to become whole. What does this wholeness means? This wholeness means that we will recognize ourselves as sacred beings. Somewhere the sexuality brings us some kind of, even some kind of shame, no matter how much we talk about the subject, how much we understand, but oh, there is still some amount of shame. And people will say, no, you don't understand what I'm talking. Mine one is shameful. What you are saying is not shameful, but mine one is shameful. You don't understand that. So all included, friends, all included. There is a shame. The source where we are coming from is sexuality. When the origin has a shame or a guilt attached to it, what would happen to the rest of our lives? That is the reason sexuality was taken at its highest when we were in our golden age. India, when it was the living in the golden age, we call it Sone ki Chidiya. That time, sexuality was so much respected. The pregnant woman was taken care of so much. There was something called Garbha Sanskar because people recognized how important it is to understand the sacredness of sexuality. So the first thing is we want to become sacred. We want to realize that we are sacred beings. How is it possible if we are excluding sexuality? Second thing is to know thyself. Sexuality includes the unconscious part of us. With sexuality, the desires comes, and desires are actually hiding our subconscious. So with sexuality, we understand our subconscious mind. So if we have to understand ourselves fully, we need to know this aspect of ourselves. And third point, why we want to know sacred sexuality is we want to become powerful. The real power I'm talking about, it's not the physical strength or the intellectual strength, some kind of spiritual power. No, I'm not talking about that. It's the real power of our being, the true power. We need to discover that power. Otherwise, we are in this game of power, victim, perpetrator, all these games are there. So, through the study of sacred sexuality, we discover our true power. We discover our creativity. That's the fourth point. We are all creative beings. We create our own reality. Not only we are creating this and that, but we are creating our own life. We are designing our own life. How do we create if we don't know the origin? We have the potential to create. We learn this only when we understand sacred sexuality. And the fifth point, not the least, that we learn to express ourselves. We create, we express, we share our gifts that we come here to share, why we are born. Through the understanding of sexuality, the more we are clear, we are open about sexuality, the more we know the truth about our shadows, the hidden part of us, the more we are able to be confident we can express ourselves through our creativity. I'm going to talk about sexuality in two phases. Now, when I say the term sexuality, it's an umbrella term. There are so many things included in it. But today, I will divide it into two forms. One is the identity part of sexuality, which is the masculine, feminine, and then the sexual energy we'll talk about. So, when we say identity, we know we have two parameters, dualistic, it is masculine and feminine. So it's always two ends of a scale. I always like to share this when I talk about it because it's an interesting exercise to do. If you see, the left hand is the Barbie, who is the very feminine aspect, and the right side is the G.I. Joe, is very masculine. And in between, there is a scale. So I want all of you to look at the scale and for a minute, just see where is your gender. Where is the number? Where are you in this scale? We understand that though this polarity is masculine and feminine, but there are so many shades. Actually, can we categorize gender? Every person has a personalized gender. What does that mean? Now I'm going to tell you the story of the two-spirited people in Native America. There used to be a tribe, Native American, and they used to determine gender in a very beautiful way. Now, nowadays, what happens? There is a baby who is getting birthed in the hospital. The doctor will see the physical genital the baby is born with, and they will write, oh, this is a male, or yes, this is born with a female. They will give the gender like that. But these Native Americans, they have a beautiful ceremony. They never judge people, they never associate people with the genitals they are born with. So they will do a ceremony. What they will do is, they'll put a fire, like a ring fire, and after the child is born, the child is neutral. They won't specify this child is a male or female. When the child starts little walking and understanding, maybe the age of 3 or 4, what they will do is, they will tell the child to go inside that circle of fire, and in the circle of fire, they will put some things there, like bow and arrow, like some sword, some jewelry, so some feminine items and masculine items. So if a boy, like when I say a boy, biological identification, the biological gender of a boy, if he goes into that fire and he picks up the jewelry and comes out, that boy is designated as a two-spirit. Now people has understood that this little being has a feminine essence. He resonates more with the feminine, and everybody in the tribe will address this being as a feminine, as a female. As this little child grows, this child will be given all the task of the feminine, like the tribe, knitting things or cooking. All these jobs will be allocated to this being. This being is now identified as a feminine, though he is born with a masculine genital. And it's vice versa. Even if it's like a female identifying with the male, they will give the gender to that biological born female as a male. They can choose their partners, whatever their heart resonates with. This is very interesting when we learn about gender. It's not one thing. There is something called an identity in the head. Oh, I am a male. Oh, I am a female. Oh, I am a transgender. There is something like a biological sex that is between the legs, what a person is born with. And another is the orientation. Orientation can be again different. Whom are you attracted towards? What is your sexual orientation? What do you want? That can be again very different. And this entire thing, whatever I have mentioned so far, can be called as expression, sexual expression. The more we are coming out of this gender binary, because here we are talking about sacred sexuality. So we are understanding the soul's choice of sexual orientation, the soul's choice of what is the gender shadow or the gender shades the soul wants to be in. So how is the gender born? Like, what is the story? I like a story about it. Like, it says that earlier it is just like void, like how we understand the Big Bang theory. Even before the Big Bang, what was there? It was just void. Now, actually, it is not void. It is having some material, which we call consciousness. Now, it says the consciousness got bored, so it wanted to play. How will it play? It got split into two halves. So the consciousness split into two halves to play, to find its potential, to admire each other. One part will admire the other. So the two splits happened. One is the known, another is the unknown. So the unknown, the mysterious, became the feminine, and the known, who wants to know, who is projective, who is like a hunter, who has is like a go-getter. I want to know, become the masculine. Feminine is more intuitive, surrendering, creative, rejoicing, celebrating, dancing, right? So these are the two polarities that was first formed. And out of this polarity, it says all polarities manifested. And that's how the creation happened. So, in all our cultures, I was giving the example of the Native Americans, but we see these examples in our own culture, like we see Shiva as Ardhanareshwara. Ganesha doesn't have a gender, androgynous gods. If you see Egyptian god Hapi, doesn't have a gender. We have known Vishnu as Mohini. Even if we read the Mahabharata and we know about Arjuna was a transgender. Why are these exceptions there? Because they want to break the gender binary. Why are we so much attached to the gender binary? This is also like an attachment, right? And any attachment is hindering our soul growth. Now we come to the sexual energy part. What is sexual energy? A very easy way to understand is you have a negative pole and you have a positive pole, like two batteries. You connect them with a wire and instantly there is an energy flow. In another way, in the bigger picture, I was talking about the known and unknown. Unknown has always a tendency to run towards the known, and known always has an attraction to go towards the unknown. So these two poles, unknown and known, they are moving towards each other. There is an attraction. The more further the poles are, the greater the attraction. So this electricity flow between the known and the unknown, the negative and the positive pole, is what is sexuality. So when a man and a woman, they meet each other in such a relationship, they will feel this flow between them. Now, this is a very mechanical definition which I have given. And there is more to it. When we say there is more to this mechanical definition, we enter sacred sexuality. So our attraction can be physical, emotional, creative, or spiritual. Initially, people who are animalistic in nature, so I will call them baby souls, infant souls. We believe in incarnations, right? Souls who are born just after their animal life. They are very animalistic in nature. They're very physical. Their sexuality is also very physical. They don't connect to the heart. We know all these kind of people around us. They take sexuality from the very physical level. Even talking about sexuality can trigger these people because they are on the very physical plane, Mooladhara. From the physical level, we grow into the emotional part of it. It's a little better than the mechanical level. So mechanical sex is just mechanical. There's no deeper connection there. But then with incarnation, with experience, the soul understands that now there is something called intimacy, there is something called trust, there is something called love. And they get into the emotional part of sexuality, which is a little better. And then still the soul keeps growing. And then the soul understands there is a creative part of sexuality. They are now interested in creation. Yeah. The mother wants to have a baby, for example, or the couple wants to do like a project. They want to create something. They want to give something to others. Finally, the spiritual part of sexuality. Then sometimes they don't require, the couple doesn't require a physical connection. On the spiritual level, they are in ecstasy. They have transcended the physical level. Now here, I don't mean any bypassing. Many spiritual people, because they don't want to address their fear and pain, they are running away from the physical sex and they want to straight away go into sacred sex. Oh, I want to have the spiritual experience of sexuality. It's not possible. No bypassing is possible. We all have to go through all the stages. All stages are sacred. The body is as sacred as the Sahasrara. The Mooladhara is as sacred as the Sahasrara. It's just that we have to grow beyond it. If we get stuck, if we get attached, then there is misery there. It's okay to experience all the levels, but we need to keep moving from one layer to the other. So this is the journey of sacred sexuality, to understand our nature as multidimensional beings, not only male or female, but multidimensional.